Bethel Park. My name is Amy Taylor, and we are graced with the presence today of three wonderful guests. We have with us Ewan. Welcome, Ewan. We have Estrella. Welcome. And Susan. Ewan is a proud member of the trans community. He brought with him today his girlfriend, Estrella, and his mom, Susan. Welcome, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Ewan, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what makes you special?
I'm 21.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an EMT,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm part of the trans community.
Wonderful. And how long ago did you make the transition?
So I started socially transitioning, I would say probably like 3 to 4 years ago, but I didn't start medically transitioning until about 2 years ago.
That's interesting. So you base it socially and medically.
Yeah,
Socially
it's-
means coming out to your peers and to your family, or socially means you start accepting yourself for who you are?
It's kind of different for everybody. For me, it was just kind of accepting myself for who I was. I think it's also important to note that you don't have to medically transition to be valid as a trans person.
So your social transition dealt with what?
Just kind of accepting myself in day-to-day life as I feel like a male.
Mm-hmm. And when did you start in your mind and in your body recognizing the fact that you were indeed a male?
Honestly, probably like really early on. Like I was always, I guess, like kind of like a tomboy. But then like it gets complicated like when you go through puberty and then, you know, you're told to do one thing but you like feel more comfortable in like the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I didn't start like realizing that like I was trans until like probably like high school.
Because you read about a lot of stories and you see on the internet a lot of stories where I knew from the moment I was born, I knew from when I was little, I knew I was a tomboy, or I knew I wanted to wear a dress. So it's interesting that you say that. And then in high school, how was high school for you?
High school was miserable for me. I was just really depressed. Like if I didn't have to like, you know, like put a face on, then I like wasn't like, I wouldn't like go out. I would just kind of like stay in my room and like be depressed.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And you were depressed because you didn't feel comfortable with your own sexuality, or you didn't feel comfortable coming out yet?
I was depressed for like a number of different reasons, but like in regards to like my transition, yeah, like I was depressed because it's like really difficult to like be like kind of trapped in like a body that you don't identify with. I didn't really like come out in that way until after I graduated high school. But yeah, it basically like I just started with, I told her first.
Your mom?
No, her.
Your girlfriend?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Who was your friend at the time?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. And she respected it?
Yeah, we were like, it was a crazy night, for sure.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A lot of emotions, I'll bet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you know before he told you?
No,
Oh, you had no clue.
not really. But when he did tell me, it wasn't surprising.
It made sense.
It did make sense.
Because you reflected back in your mind, oh, this
Exactly.
is why.
Yeah.
So you knew him when he was depressed in high school?
Yeah.
And how did you help him with that?
Well, we were both depressed.
I see, I see.
So we just kind of like
Yeah.
Found each
understood
other.
each other. Yeah.
We
Found
made
an understanding.
we made good company.
I love it, I love it. And your relationship now?
I mean, we're still very close.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Happy. Your
Yeah.
relationship is happy. I love it.
Absolutely.
And does your family find acceptance with him?
It's difficult when it comes to family.
They're tolerant, but they're not accepting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Is it because they're extra religious or they're just closed-minded?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
And does that put a strain on the relationship, or you just ignore it and move forward?
It more puts a strain on my relationship with my family.
Interesting. Interesting. So you stay true to this and you say you be who you want to be.
It's hard not to like him.
Exactly. And so you went on to college or EMT school, you said?
Yeah, I got my EMT after high school.
Excellent. And how do you like working as an EMT?
I definitely like it. It has its ups and downs, but I definitely love my job.
Do you find acceptance? Like, are they cool with you?
I do,
Everything?
especially where I work now. They're more than happy to like make sure that like I'm comfortable. Like they really go above and beyond to make sure that it's like inclusive and that like nobody's like giving me any problems. It also helps because like the majority of the people there like I'm friends with, so I was able to develop some really strong relationships with the people there.
Mm-hmm. And I understand there's something called a dead name. Talk to us about what a dead name is and how you moved past that.
Yeah, so your dead name is basically your name that was like assigned to you at birth. So it's typically a name that you don't identify with as you go through your transition, and it's usually something people don't like to disclose or like talk about, like what their dead name is. But
So it's never mentioned again. Once it's dead, you never mention it again.
I mean, it really, like, I personally don't like to talk about my dead name. I feel like a lot of people share that sentiment. It's different for everybody, but I feel like it's never appropriate to like ask somebody like what their dead name is.
So now your new name, you only go by that, and the pronouns that you use, of course, are masculine.
Correct.
Him and he.
Yep.
And do you find a lot of people in your world respect that and go by that?
Yeah, the only time that I really like ever get misgendered at this point in my transition is if somebody's doing it like intentionally.
Oh.
So like, yeah, which is something that like has happened, but yeah, I typically don't get misgendered like when I'm just out and about and like people like don't know I'm trans.
Mm-hmm. Mom, how is it mentally for you do you have to stop and think each time you say it, or does it come naturally now?
It comes more naturally, but before it was natural to say the feminine pronouns.
Mm-hmm.
He did let me pick the middle name.
Really?
Yeah.
What did you choose as the middle name?
Moss.
How lovely.
It's very Scottish, goes with Ewan.
That's really cool. And you were okay with her choosing that?
Yeah.
You said, all right.
You know, when he first came to me, I mean, for a longest time, I just thought he was a lesbian, and that didn't bother me
Interesting.
either.
Right.
So, you know, but when he was explaining all this to me, I mean, he was really good with me and very patient. I was asking questions like, well, what's this? What's this?
To better understand.
Yes. How do you feel?
And to
This
continue
way-
the bond.
It also doesn't help because the trans community is like very like misunderstood.
How so?
Like people just don't understand like why people like transition. So like when you tell somebody that you're trans, they're just kind of like, oh, like why would you like do that to yourself? Well, like I wouldn't like just do this for fun. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, because it's a long, complicated process.
it's really hard. Like it is a long, complicated.
It's a lot of hoops to go through paperwork-wise, but it's a lot physically.
It can be expensive.
Who pays for that?
It depends. Sometimes people pay out of pocket. Sometimes insurances will cover expenses of things. Like my insurance covered the cost of my top surgery. Because it's considered, they considered it medically necessary because it would improve my quality of life.
What about your psychological and mental needs?
Yeah, so before I could get surgery and stuff like that, I had to see a gender therapist who I still talk to this
So
day.
there's a doctor out there called a gender therapist.
Yeah, I would recommend going to a gender therapist just because they fully understand like the trans community and stuff like that.
Did you go through voice change therapy? Because I know people who have.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing that you can do.
Talk to the viewers about that.
I personally didn't go through any voice changing therapy. All the changes that I saw were through taking testosterone and hormone replacement therapy.
So the testosterone pills, only speak about as much as you want to. What did they do for you?
It's actually an injection.
Oh.
So I do an injection in my leg once a week. Sometimes people do it once every 2 weeks. It just depends.
How often or how long do you have to do that for?
It depends on what I choose to do. So you can stop taking hormones at any time if you choose to do so. If you get any type of like histo or like bottom surgery, then you would be hormone dependent, like hormone replacement, like dependent for the rest of your life because you're not creating any like sex hormones like estrogen or testosterone. So you would need to take some type of like hormone to like supplement that.
Interesting. Mom, let's get back to you. So you were saying that you had a difficult time at first, and then you helped him pick out his middle name. You became more accepted with it.
No, it wasn't difficult for me. Always.
That's because you are very kind, loving, inclusive individual. I know
But-
you personally.
Yeah, but I mean, no, this has always been my child. You know, he's always been my child, no matter what stage of life.
That's right.
You know, and I love him dearly. And if he's happier this way, then I have a son.
That's right. A bonus.
Yes.
Bonus.
You know, my husband is like making more plans, like to do like
Rustic.
gardening.
Manly stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear.
You know, because it's just like my son, you know, for him.
I think it's important to say that a lot of people, it's a little bit dark, but like it's just something that I've heard. Like, would you rather have like a son that's alive or like a daughter that's dead? Because like the suicide rate for trans people is like astronomically high.
And you mentioned mostly it was with the trans community with black women.
Trans women of color have like one of the highest like murder rates for like minorities in this country. And these are just women that are trying to live their truth and
Right.
be who they are.
That's right. Be who you are, live your own truth.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
You know, my husband had a harder time wrapping his head around it. But I don't think he was ever like,
No, he was vibing.
yeah, he
He
was.
just kind of goes with the flow.
Yeah, he does. I've met trans people out there that their parents have disowned them totally.
Where do they go? Where do these?
So a lot of trans people end up homeless. We used to live with somebody that he was a trans dude and he was homeless. So like he lived with us for a while, and they end up sometimes in these trans group homes that can be kind of nasty places depending.
And you mentioned that there are resources out there for and centers for people. Talk to us a little bit about them.
A place that I found that was very resourceful is called Persed, and it's located in Lawrenceville, or I guess that's one of their locations.
How do you get involved with Persed?
I think during COVID, it would be best to probably call them up. I know that there is like a waiting list for like therapists typically,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it's a really great center. It's yeah.
I know a lot of the events around Pride Month, the money raised goes to Persed upon researching. So those are all good organizations to support.
Of course,
And you
definitely.
found comfort there. Mm-hmm. That's good. Talk to us a little bit about the flags, the gay flags, the pride flags, the trans flags. What do they mean to you, and how do you feel about them?
But I feel like it's just like an umbrella, like over like all the communities that are like make up the LGBT.
Almost like an all are welcome here kind of thing. I see them
Yeah.
outside of businesses. Key West has them on like every single, solitary
Yeah,
business.
they actually updated the official pride flag. So it's still like the traditional like kind of rainbow colors, but then there's like a triangle, and within that triangle there's like the trans colors, and then there's black and brown to symbolize the oppression that minority groups have faced.
That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. And the trans flag, light pink, light blue,
Yep.
and that's the prettiest of the flags you mentioned. Talk to us about what that flag means to you. Do you have one?
We
I know
have,
there's a couple at my house.
yeah, we we have a couple.
You
different
fly them
flags.
with pride?
They're
Excuse
more,
the pun?
They're more like a
They're like little flags.
yeah. They're
Oh.
yeah. The ones that are at my
have-
house are like almost like bandanas.
Yeah,
see.
we have a lot of like pride themed things.
Yes.
for
And
June.
I see that you're wearing a pride, was it a Loki bracelet?
It's a Loci bracelet.
Loci bracelet.
Yeah.
And you also have a tattoo on your face. Get a close-up of this, and I want you to talk about what this tattoo means to you beside your right eye, because I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah, so basically, like, people get tattoos like this. It basically means, like, my crazy life.
Let's talk a little bit about how did you guys meet? You met in high school.
Yeah.
Did you begin dating as soon as he came out?
No, we were friends for a really long
We've been
time.
friends for, like, 8 or 9 years.
The
Yeah.
best relationships are ones that are built out of friendship, correct?
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we know a lot about each other. So we're really
Yeah, you
comfortable.
definitely know way too much.
Yeah.
You're never leaving.
You can't leave, right? You know too
No,
many
there's
secrets.
no choice.
Those are the best relationships. Yeah. And you guys live together?
Yeah, we do.
And you say that you take in others from the community?
We have.
That's
We have,
amazing.
yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that. You meet people out and about, you see they need help, and you give
Yeah,
them that help?
it's
the
actually
resources?
kind of a long story how we kind of found him. So I was picking my, like when they were having the Black Lives Matter protests, they like broke out into a riot, and I was picking up my friend, and he just found like this guy there that like needed a ride, like didn't really have anywhere to go, and he was like, "Do you want to give him a ride?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." So like we were talking, and it turns out that he was also a trans guy, and he didn't really have like a good place to go back to, so he just came back to our place, and he stayed there for a few months.
Do you find in Pittsburgh or in Pennsylvania that there is discrimination against your community?
I think there's discrimination everywhere. At a place that I used to work at, they like would put like our names on a board and like our shift and like stuff like that, and they refused to like put my like preferred name, which like I didn't like make a deal about it. Like I don't come to work or like in any situation with any type of agenda. Like if you don't like me, I don't really care. It just is what it is. But somebody had brought it to their attention that wasn't me actually, and was like, "Yo, that's not cool," and they threw a fit about it. So it like turned into like this whole big thing where like they started writing my preferred name on the board, and then the boss came in and was like, "We're only putting people's legal names, but left other people's nicknames up there." It was just crazy.
In Allegheny County?
This is actually in Westmoreland County. It wasn't completely horrible. Like I had so many like people there that were like supportive of me, and that obviously would back me up, given that I didn't even say anything about my dead name being on the board.
Because you were obviously dressing and identifying at the time as a male,
Right. Yeah.
which would be hugely disrespectful of your
Right.
employer to do.
Yeah.
Nowadays, do you feel that would involve a lawsuit?
I believe that could involve a lawsuit.
Because
yeah.
back in the day, it was kind of, shuffled under the rug. But
Yeah.
nowadays, we're not going to tolerate it.
Yeah,
We're not
I'm
gonna
really
stand for it
lucky
anymore.
that I work in a place now that is like over the top, inclusive, like yeah,
Diverse.
diverse.
Now, what about bathroom situations? I remember when they very first made the his and her combined bathroom. How do you feel that the bathroom situation affects you?
I'm just trying to go to the bathroom. I think that most people just want to use the bathroom and they're not trying to cause any issues.
But what about when you were identifying as a male and you would, like, people would question if you'd use a specific bathroom?
I wouldn't use public restrooms.
Interesting. Why?
I feel like it was like maybe like a safety like issue that I had, but also I don't know, like I just didn't feel comfortable. Like I didn't feel
Feel
comfortable.
comfortable or feel safe?
I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't
Okay.
feel comfortable using the women's bathroom, and I didn't feel comfortable going into the men's bathroom, which is the bathroom that I
Right.
identify with.
I understand.
Um,
Like you said, you're just trying to use the bathroom here,
right.
but you
exactly.
didn't use a public restroom. So what would you do? Literally hold it till you got home, or
I would find some place that had like a family bathroom or like a gender neutral bathroom.
or a single restroom stall kind of
Right.
thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Have any of your friends in the community experienced problems with restrooms, either male, female, or combined?
Not that I know of specifically. I know that it is like a big like political like issue that people have, but I don't know any specific stories that anybody's had using the bathroom.
That's good news. That's good to hear.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that
Right?
it's not
No,
happening.
I know. But like over in England, I know there's been some bad stories. So I'm glad to hear that here in the States that you're not hearing of any.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
more specifically towards like trans women that have like issues like using the bathroom, because they, in my personal opinion, trans women are far more ostracized than like trans men are. And also there's like the non-binary community as well. That's kind of like lumped into the trans community.
Can you describe the different communities for us, starting with gay, lesbian, queer?
Yeah, so there's like kind of a
Trans-
lot of gray area.
Yeah.
So like there's a number of different things that you can identify as like
Do you know the descriptions of each that you could help us with?
in terms of like sexuality or gender identity.
I don't know. Help us out here. you mentioned that you represent as queer.
Yeah, I identify as
What
queer.
identify as queer? What does that mean to you?
A lot of people tend to use queer as an umbrella term. Yeah, so for me personally, I like men, I like women, I like people. So yeah, I feel very comfortable identifying as queer.
All I know regarding these names is what I learned about maybe on the internet or maybe in Hollywood stories. You know, more and more stars are coming out and more people are telling their tale, and I learned through that. Because isn't there a plus community as well?
Yeah, it's the LGBTQ+.
What does a plus mean?
Plus just means like everybody else, like that wasn't mentioned in like LGBT.
Yeah, there's like asexual, things like that.
Okay.
It just kind of like everybody in like the LGBT community, like it's not just like gay people and trans people, it's like people that like kind of need a community sometimes. So
when forming a relationship, how difficult is it to find somebody that you're compatible with in terms of labels or, I don't know,
I feel like it just happens. Like,
organically?
yeah.
I feel like it's
yeah.
important to mention that sexuality and gender identity are two very different things.
Yeah.
And
Talk to us about that.
yeah, they just like, they don't really go in hand. They're very individual and they both.
How
Yeah,
so?
So
How
your
so?
sexuality has nothing to do with your gender identity. Like, you can be a trans man and identify as gay. It doesn't make you any less gay than a cis man who is somebody that was assigned male at birth. You can identify as a trans woman and be a lesbian. It doesn't make you any less of a lesbian than somebody that's cis.
And I am considered an ally, correct?
Yeah.
That's the term. Someone came up to me last week and said, Happy Pride Month, and gave me a rainbow pin with the word ally on it. I was so taken aback, and the person that gave me the pin started crying and say, thank you for being you. And I'm just like, I didn't even know.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you're not the norm.
I think the nice thing about Pride is that it is inclusive to everybody. Like, that's like the biggest thing about Pride is like one, being prideful, and I think two, being inclusive, because you know everybody deserves to be included and to feel like they have a place that they can be safe in.
Right, right. And you mentioned that in the more country type settings.
Yeah, I would say that rural areas tend to be more like closed-minded. I work in a rural area.
So the bigger the city, the bigger the venue,
I think
the more
that-
open the mind, would you say?
Yeah, I think that cities, you have to be more tolerant because you're living with a bunch of other people around you. So
That's right. If not, get out.
Right.
Right. And you mentioned the term turf. Talk to us about what a turf is.
A turf is just kind of like a term to like describe, it stands for trans radical feminists, and basically they just believe that like the trans movement, it goes against feminism. So like it would be like anti-feminist of me to transition because I am not a man in their eyes. Like, I'm a woman and I shouldn't be pretending to be a man or like doing whatever. So they don't really like see like the whole picture. But that's like with most people that are like transphobic, they just don't really like understand the whole picture.
Susan, do you feel that there's been any other obstacles or celebrations in being a mom of a trans?
He is so much happier than he was years ago. You know,
Going from his words of I was miserable and depressed to now look, making public,
yeah. I mean,
public speaking
yeah.
appearances to talk about his own journey.
And the one thing
what
I
it
wanted to
means.
say too is sometimes people don't understand. We had used the term cis here, and that took me a while. Cis is the gender you're born with.
Thank you, because I didn't know, and there was too much I was saying, well, please help me,
Yeah.
help me, and
Cis-
I got embarrassed to ask
Yeah.
for help again.
Cis
What is a cis?
Cis just means that you identify with the sex that you were assigned at birth. So you would be a cis female.
Interesting.
I'm also a cis female.
Yeah,
And I'm a cis female.
Yes.
correct.
And you?
I'm a trans man.
Because that is his gender.
Yes, yes.
You know, and I do consider him a man. You know,
I think all of us here in this room do.
Yeah.
I don't think it's up for debate. I don't think it's a question.
No,
it just is, right?
It's not. No, and it, you know, the only weird part is like I have all these pictures from when he was little, and I know he doesn't want to see them, but I love them so much.
It was a memory,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Can't block out the entire childhood.
No.
We just move forward,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. You know.
Just like maybe somebody's favorite color used to be blue and now it's yellow. You just move forward with the yellow,
Yeah.
right?
But I just, you know, and I keep saying I want better pictures, like more recent pictures. And
That's right. We have to fill those new albums. Good
Yeah.
pictures. But I know when you speak about him, you know, in our conversations and with others, it is nothing but praise and of pride.
Yes.
It
Oh,
really
oh,
is.
no,
Which
I'm
brought
proud
me to
of
my
my
phone
son.
call today to, hey, can we get together and can we talk about this?
Yeah.
Because I know it's an important subject to you.
Yeah.
I was hoping that you would come forward and talk because it's an important subject that we need to get across.
And you got an extra
the
bonus
messages.
today.
I did. I love it. I did. And there's so many messages and descriptions of words that I wanted to get across to people so that they understand. We here in the straight community are doing our best. I make mistakes just like anybody else, and hopefully you in your community will assist us in understanding and making the changes in our language, pronouns, so on and so forth, moving forward. Yeah. Right.
Even like the slightest bit of like effort to gain understanding it goes a long way. It's really meaningful, you know, being able to be understood by people that don't necessarily relate to our situation means a lot.
And you seem incredibly supportive of your man,
Yes. Yeah.
like unbelievably so. I wish everybody had a right hand, yeah, a man like you.
Yeah, she's
And-
been with me through everything.
Yeah.
Like from like literally everything. Like
Yeah.
she's every like appointment, like everything.
You know what that's called?
Commitment?
Real love, man. Commitment and love. Talking about which, moving forward, do we have any thoughts? Do you want a family? Or are we not even thinking that far in the future?
We're not. We don't think that far in the future.
Okay. The most important thing is just be you and live each day to your own truth, right? And that's all that I can hope for everybody out there is to just live your own truth. And even if it's not something that you understand, perhaps in good conversation or research, you can come to understand other people, their beliefs, their way of life. Ewan, if I had to ask if there was any message that you would leave the public with or any last thoughts that you'd like to talk about.
Yeah, I feel like just going along with what you said, like I feel like it's really important to like not judge people, but like if you don't understand something, like I feel like it's okay to like ask. Like the trans community just wants to be understood, and we've been ostracized for a really long time, and I don't know, it's just time for some change.
Above all, Bethel Park and everyone, I want to encourage you to please be true to who you are and enjoy Pride Month. It is a celebration of life and love and of acceptance. Amy Taylor, Bethel Park TV, Commit to be Fit. Thank you for joining us here today.